Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. It's National Dream Day, Tony. What's your favorite dream?
I'm Tony Kornheiser. I can't be specific, but it involves Betty White, 8 sacks of peat moss, and a slip and slide.
See, I'm caught at the peat moss.
Yeah.
I really, that
gets everybody, doesn't it? A lot of people, they used to say, you sure it's Betty White? And I go, it's a recurring dream. I know it's Betty White. What changes every once in a while is the amount of peat moss.
The amount of peat moss.
Yeah, that you have to deal with.
Been having this since the mid-50s, this dream?
Actually, since I got back from Ireland about 30 years ago. Yeah. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Warriors are messy. The Lakers are really messy, and James Dolan gets super messy.
Boy.
But we begin today with the Oakland Raiders suddenly spending big money to acquire big players. They traded in a 3rd and a 5th round pick for Antonio Brown. Then they gave Brown $30 million guaranteed. Then they signed New England Patriots starting left tackle Trent Brown for $37 million guaranteed, and that is the most money ever for an offensive lineman. Wilbon, do you like what John Gruden and the Raiders are doing?
For the moment. Today, you got to have some headlines today, and it's football, and I know they got to pencil people into depth charts, even though there's not a game for 7 months. And so, this goes under the category of not everything's a big deal, because we've seen John Gruden say to Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper,
get out.
2 of the most important players in the league last season.
That's right.
We don't need you.
That's right.
So why should I trust his judgment?
So what's interesting about this to me is they were terrible last year. They were 4-12. They were minus 177, and they made themselves worse by getting rid of Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper. I think Gruden looked at that and said, how bad are we? How bad have we gotten? Then he fired the general manager, brought in a new guy, and now they're spending some money. They're acquiring players. I think this is Gruden's way of saying okay, I'm building from here on. What surprises me about this was around the time of the Khalil Mack circumstance, we were being told that they might be in a cash flow situation at Oakland. This doesn't look like that, does it?
I never believed that. But again, why do I need to give John Gruden the great benefit of the doubt? I don't even think he said, how bad are we? I think that guys like that, they're not introspective. They're looking at other people's
Do you like getting Antonio Brown? Do you like doing that?
Not particularly, not on this team.
Why?
I mean, he's got a quarterback who can get it down the field, we think. Every other season, he seems to do that.
Yeah.
But I just think he can be disruptive in a way the Raiders can't handle.
But that is undeniably true, although I think in the first year, people like that are usually pretty good.
Okay.
But in essence, what he got was he got Antonio Brown and a number 1, because he's stockpiled number 1s, and he gave up Amari Cooper a 3 and a 5.
He wants to use the picks on this defense-heavy draft. I get it. Look, John Gruden can come back smelling like a rose.
Yeah.
If he drafts 4 or 5, and by the way, you got not only the top defensive draft picks, but you got middle-round picks, all of whom should be starters and some Pro Bowlers. They can make up for this.
Yeah.
But I ain't giving extra credit.
My only problem with Antonio Brown, he's going to be 31.
Yeah.
The line of demarcation is 30 years old for most wide receivers. For most. We'll see.
Tony, let's get to the NBA, where shockingly the reigning champs continue to be involved in a little bit of drama right next to Oakland. Right in Oakland. They lost last night at home in Oakland to the team with the NBA's second worst record, the Suns. And while that isn't much on the Richter scale, there are other little signs of discontent, like Steve Kerr appearing to say going into a timeout that he was, quote, so bleeping tired of Draymond's bleep, close quote. Then afterward, there was the always measured Klay Thompson saying he expects the most crazed fan base in basketball to be more into it than they were last night. Tony, does any part of you, any part at all, read into this that the Dubs could be in trouble for defending their title?
So we did this story last week. We're doing this story today. We're going to do this story for quite some time. And the reason we're going to do it is because if they win the championship this year, that's 4 out of 5, and then they're a dynasty. And by the way, I believe if they win this year, they should have 5 in a row. And I would give Draymond Green getting kicked out in that 1 year. And my thoughts are, and they're probably similar to yours, we've covered enough heavyweight champions in our life that you got to beat them. I am not thinking they can be beat until I see them on the canvas.
So I watch the Warriors every night, every single game. I turn this one off. It's the Suns. It's in Oakland. The fans are getting their last few games in that arena before they move to San Francisco. I know it's 8 miles. It may as well be 1,000 light years, Oakland to San Francisco.
And
but I watched the Dubs. He did.
Yeah.
I watched the Dubs every night. And then I also watched to see who is it, particularly in the Western Conference, I think can be a threat. And Tony, I still come up with the same 2 teams, even though the West has got Denver, and I should probably put Portland on my list.
You come up with Houston and Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City, that's all I got.
That's all you got.
So while they may look a little vulnerable, every time they need to win a game big like last week, they do it.
So I thought that Klay Thompson's comments were absolutely laughable, and I watched them.
Why?
Because he said that we need the energy from the fan base. Now, you're supposed to supply your own energy. The fans have nothing to do with this. They're 4-6 in their last 10, and they've thrown some stinkers out there.
True. But the relationship of that fan base and that crowd with that team is romanticized. I mean, it is talked about and celebrated to the point where you believe in it. It actually exists. And Klay Thompson is probably
give them something to cheer about.
They haven't done that for the past 5 years.
Right. We're all day to day, Mike. It's game by game. Early in the Celtics-Lakers game, speaking of game by game, on Saturday night, with the Lakers on their way to their 5th straight loss, Jeff Van Gundy suggested on air that one possible avenue for the Lakers to explore would be trading away LeBron James in the offseason. Mark Jackson immediately said, and I quote, "Well, that's not going to happen," unquote. But Van Gundy stuck to his guns for what seemed like the entire first quarter. Wilbon, Van Gundy on to something?
I hope not. I don't think so. And you know, I love to listen to Jeff on all these things. Jeff Van Gundy. We talked about this in live time. We talked about how much we like listening to Jeff. I had at my house, Chinese dinner Saturday, watching the primetime game, Matthew and his little friend Liam, and they say to me earlier than this, they go, "Hey, Mr. Wilbon, Dad, why don't the Lakers just trade LeBron? They stink so much." And I said to them both, "I will take your Kung Pao chicken away. Get out. Get out of the room."
Fantastic.
That is
Liam
so
shout out and Kung Pao chicken.
It is so stupid, I said to them.
Yeah.
There's no chance the Lakers would consider this. No responsible human being would say this.
Jeff Van Gundy.
And then Jeff Van Gundy says it.
Yeah.
Well, what can they get back for LeBron? First of all, LeBron's going to allow himself to be traded?
Well,
no, he's not.
Apparently he doesn't have a no trade, but it
doesn't matter. His life is no trade.
This to me would be so fantastic that they would use LeBron to stock their team like a fish hatchery. And if they could trade him to me to Orlando or Minnesota, some outpost, or trade him back to Cleveland.
Because he's going to play there.
It's terrific, and it's insane. No, you're not going to trade him because you brought him in for the championships you hope he will deliver. So Mark Jackson's 100% right. Jeff Van Gundy's interesting, but it's insane.
Mark's right. Look, first of all, just go over the history of the Lakers. Magic never got traded?
No.
Okay, Kobe wanted to, but for a minute, but he never got traded. I mean, only one person got traded out of there, Shaq.
Once Kareem got there,
they got there. That's it. They stayed.
Jerry West,
you don't leave. Jerry West, Baylor. No, there's no leaving except for Shaq.
No, it's not how it works.
In terms of a trade, maybe Shaq was free agent. I don't remember.
But they are. You know what?
They can't do that.
The only thing they've got, honestly, is LeBron. Maybe they'll get Anthony Davis. Maybe they will.
They got plenty of people.
Lonzo Ball looks like a bust.
Free agents next summer.
They could have kept D'Angelo Russell, and they didn't do it.
Man, they couldn't have kept
Kuzma and Ingram don't.
I like Kuzma and Ingram.
Go ahead.
And suppose you get Tobias Harris, and suppose you get Jimmy Butler.
That's different.
You pair him with those guys. Now you got a team again.
They're not trading LeBron.
No, you're not trading LeBron. Tony, we're squarely in sight of championship week. I know you love championship week. So let's get back to the college kids. Duke and Tennessee, both considered locks or number 1 seeds just a couple of weeks ago. Both lost on the road. Duke at Carolina, Tennessee at Auburn. And it raises the question, Tony, have Duke and Tennessee played their way out of number 1 seed?
So first we give a shout out to the Binghamton Bearcats. They're going to have to go to Vermont. That's a tough trip, but go Bearcats, and now let me deal with this. I never thought Tennessee was a number 1 seed. I've sat here and said I don't think they're a number 1 seed. I understand they split with Kentucky.
They did.
But they lost to Auburn. They lost to LSU. They are not. They're
road games.
They're 3-4 in their last 7.
Yeah.
So they're not a number 1 seed now.
They haven't been upset in any of those games. They're like losing bad home games.
Duke is not a number 1 seed right now.
No.
But, and this is an important but.
If they win the ACC tournament, you're going to say.
If Zion Williamson comes back and they beat Virginia, who they've beaten twice this year with him, or North Carolina, who they've lost to twice without him, then they would be 3-0 against Virginia and 1-0 against North Carolina. And then, Mike, they would be a number 1 seed. They would be.
They would be and they could be. But, Tony, Duke
You don't like them as much
Duke
as I
is
do.
flawed in a way
'Cause they don't shoot.
that matters. The game has turned itself over to three-point shooting at all levels. At all levels, from kindergarten to the NBA, it's all about shooting the three, and Duke can't shoot the three, and Zion Williamson doesn't help them shoot the three.
No.
And when he comes
No, he
back,
shoots 70%
they're
of
going
twos.
to be defended differently, and they're not going to get 70% of twos because people don't collapse on him and them and say, hit the three, we dare you because you can't.
So who are your number
So I
ones?
think they're flawed.
Who are your number ones right now?
You know what?
I know you have Gonzaga.
You know we have Gonzaga, and you know we have Virginia. And I think there could be a couple of wild card mystery number ones that come out of this week.
I mean, I think Michigan State.
I think Michigan State could come
And again,
out of
and I think if Carolina gets
and
to the finals of the
Big
ACC,
Ten
they're number one.
because the Big Ten is the best conference, still top to bottom, should get the number one seed.
Do you want to hear an amazing thing?
What?
The Pac-12 has nobody in the top 25.
That's not right.
Wofford and
Washington-
Buffalo
I know,
are ranked
but
ahead.
Washington seems
What
like a
happened to
good team.
Pac-12?
Aren't they 18-2 in the Pac-12?
What happened to the Pac-12?
Off the radar.
TMZ is running a clip of Knicks owner James Dolan,
Your boy. Oh, no, not me.
in a confrontation with a fan after Saturday's Knicks loss at the Garden. The fan is heard yelling directly at Dolan, quote, "Sell the team." Let's watch.
Sell the team! You think I should sell the team? You want to not come to any more games? Why? That's rude. It's an opinion. Yeah, no, it's not an opinion. And you know what? Enjoy watching them on TV.
Him, what? Bring him, yeah, him, hold him for Kevin. Hold him for Kevin. Hold him for Kevin.
TMZ. Wilbon, would it be fair to keep this guy from coming back to a Knicks game?
You know, our producers are always telling us to characterize behavior and not the person.
That's right.
You don't know the person. One act doesn't describe permanently the person. So describe behavior. So let me just describe James Dolan and his behavior. What a lousy human being he seems to be. What is that? Sell the team and you have the rabbit ears of some fourth-year baseball player? I mean, what an awful owner he is. And let me give all credit to you.
Thank you
But
so
I will
much.
say this.
Thank you.
I will say this. I have been approached by people in the basketball industry, fairly high places, some of them, and they say, you need to listen to your boy because no one is worse than James Dolan. Can't the league find a reason or a way to get rid of him?
So I've been saying that for about 5 years.
You
He's
have
the worst owner in all
You
sports.
haven't. I see
Worst owner.
to you.
Okay. In this particular case, and by the way, Adam Silver should find a way to get rid of him. I'm fine. Because that's a team of my youth, and I want them to do better. In this particular case, he's confronting this guy. This is not racial. No. It's not sexual. No. It's not religious.
It's not improper.
He's saying,
in
I hate
any
this
way.
guy, and I think he owns the team. I think if you refund the guy's money, and they do this in casinos and restaurants all the time, I think you can actually say to this guy, rabbit ears or not,
Because he said
get out.
sell the team.
Yeah. Well, he
He didn't say you're a loser and your team's a loser
which he should have.
and you're a lousy human being.
Well, I don't know
He
about
didn't
that.
say that.
He didn't. No, he didn't.
He could have.
But he owns the team.
He'd been justifiable.
I don't think there's a lawsuit involved that could get the tickets back if he refunded the money. Let's take a break. Coming up, Ja Morant, who is your boy, makes the tournament. Does he need to impress on the big stage to justify his draft type?
No. And what should we make of Charlie Casserly's latest comments about Kyler Murray?
So you've come over to my side of the street on Dolan. Very happy to see you.
Yeah, there's so much testimony.
It's mail time. You send us issues even though technically no one asked you
Come
to.
on, we asked him
I'll
to
still
send
get
us
the
email.
first one.
What's the first one?
Does Ja Morant need to have any kind of an NCAA tournament to justify his draft rank?
No, he doesn't, Tony. Ja Morant got his team to the tournament, and they had to play earlier than everybody else. They had to play a team as good as they are in their conference. Both those teams, Belmont and Murray State, ought to be in the tournament. Ja Morant, you watched that game.
I did.
Because you went in skeptical.
I was.
How'd you come out?
No, well, you called me in the middle of Carolina Duke, and you said you've got to watch Ja
skip
Morant.
Michigan State.
Yes, and you got to
watch Ja Morant.
I mean, look, I think he's a big-time player. I think I'll disagree slightly in this regard. They'll probably be an 11 or a 12, so they'll play a 5 or a 6. If a guard on a 5 or a 6 shuts him down completely, I think it hurts him. I don't think he has to be great. I wonder if it hurts him.
But Tony, you go the other way. I remember kids who go in and you think, oh, they got to have a big tournament. And they have one for 5 or 6 games. Tyrus Thomas did that with LSU. And he got to the pros, it didn't mean anything. And he played in the big program. We've seen guys recently, Ben Simmons, not do much in the tournament
That's right.
or anything
That's
in the
right.
tournament
And
at
still
all,
be drafted
and
one.
still be good pros.
That's right.
Bryce Harper faced 4 outfielders. Do you think this will prove to be an effective strategy against him?
Bryce Harper's going to try and hit it out. He's not going to slap a double to left, and his new manager, Gabe Kapler, said, I want him to hit it out. Hit it hard. That's a pretty small ballpark. There's a very small sample size about this 4 outfielder deal. People against it are batting 186.
Yeah.
So my inclination is to believe that it will hurt
55
Bryce
at-bats.
Harper, but he is going to try and jack it no matter what.
You know, this is why Bryce Harper should have gone to the Cubs, and he'd had a better influence, better peer pressure. Because a guy like Anthony Rizzo, who can hit him out just as good as Harper, okay, and has one thing Harper doesn't have, a World Series ring.
Got a ring.
Anthony Rizzo gets up there, and the third baseman is playing 250 feet back, and he can lead off an inning, or he can have a man on base, and he's going to put it down or get it to the left side of the infield to get on base. And baseball has so many people now who don't value getting on base. I don't know what to say, but I think Harper's ego is such that he'll try to hit it out
He will.
when the effective strategy will
But
be
again,
get on base.
His manager said,
I know.
hit it out.
I know.
Did the Rays do the right thing or the wrong thing for the team with the crummy raise they gave to Blake Snell?
It was an interesting rate. It was like 10, 15 grand.
$15,500.
So I started looking up some people recently, and you know, my bent is to look at recent Cubs. Chris Bryant, who I mentioned, he had a similar situation. I think he got a couple of $100,000 raise in a similar situation. Aaron Judge had a raise of about $80,000, I guess. So you can sort of do what you want, but you're trying.
I won the Cy Young Award.
I know.
Best
I'm
pitcher
saying.
in the American
Those
League.
guys wound up winning an MVP and a home run title and all that stuff. So we're talking about grouping. But Tony, 15.
Let me tell you
I know
something.
the Rays don't have as much money as the Cubs or the Yankees.
I don't care.
But
This makes the Tampa Bay Rays
Doesn't look bad.
the Matt Kuchar of baseball. This is
It
unbearably
looks bad.
cheap.
It's a bad
There
look.
are 2 things you can do. You can give no raise at all because you have that right, or you double his salary. That's all you got. He's going to walk in the first opportunity.
and they'll deserve
Last
it.
one.
They'll deserve it, won't they?
Yes.
Matt Kuchar, man, you went way back and took a big shot at him.
Good shot.
Are you surprised that Charlie Casserly puts Kyler Murray ahead of Pat Mahomes on college tape?
I'm very, very surprised because all we heard from Charlie Casserly were reports that he said he got that Kyler Murray has no work habits, immature. It appears to question him intellectually. I think Casserly got hit hard for this. I think he wants to go to the other side. But I'll tell you this. If you compare Kyler Murray favorably to Pat Mahomes, you put tremendous pressure on Kyler Murray. Tremendous.
Let me say this, to sort of, on behalf of Charlie Casserly, who before he got slammed, he was in the process of it later that night, and he and I communicated, and he said, just so you know, I'm reporting this.
That's not his
Wait, let me
words.
finish. I'm reporting this based on the interview, not his tape. His tape is great. Charlie Casserly said that now, so it's not like he's only saying it in reaction. I can prove, because he said it to me. So you can feel one way about the interview, Tony,
Right.
and another way about the tape. And I believe that's where Charlie came down.
That is a lot of pressure on a kid because Patrick Mahomes is the greatest thing since sliced bread after this.
But not his college tape.
Enough email. Let's take one last break, but still to come. Tiger Woods is back, baby, again.
And Kyrie, your boy,
No, he's not my boy.
says he's sorry. He'll tell you for what.
I sit here, I talk to Sean, I say, Sean, he's not my boy. He can't be your boy.
Wait a minute now.
No, can't.
He's got to be Sean.
No.